Hello, my name's Neil. Welcome to Repto for You. Today we're going to be working on a BBC B. Now this is a BBC B that I need to get working to fit the 6000 CPU upgrade in. So that was a BBC B expansion that was made by Kamana with a 6000 CPU in it. So that's going to be plugged into this, hopefully, if we get it working. So while I've got everybody's attention here, if you look down below, there's a link to our new Discord group. Now feel free to just come along, join and have a chat with us all. There's people in there like Captain Commodore, 8-Bit Retro Refix, myself, Mark fixes stuff, as well as other YouTubers and people. So just come along, have a chat with us all and say hello. So without further ado, let's crack on. Okay, so hope you can see this. This is the other BBC. This is a one that I want to put the 6000 CPU upgrade into. So hopefully we can get this working. Now, this is the only BBC I've got left to get working. The other two are working now, the Master and the other BBC B. But this one, you can see in a minute what it wants to do. So here's the one with the two disk drives. It looks like a PC. The reason why I use this is because it's such a big case. It's got plenty of room inside to allow cooling, because obviously that expansion board I got sits on top. So first we need to remove this big heavy case. That will allow us to sit the expansion board here and maybe even fit some cooling into the case as well at a later date. So if you can see here now, this is the BBC. Now we need a keyboard obviously to get these working. So I just happen to have one here. So what we're going to do, we're going to plug in the speaker and we're going to plug in the keyboard, making sure these are lined up just like so, and then I'm going to give it a turn on. Okay, so we're ready to test this. Now what we're going to do is just turn it on. I've got the OSCC hooked up, so hopefully, and all we're getting is one continuous beep. The first thing we are going to do is we're going to test the voltages on each of these to check we've got the 5 volt and the negative 5 volt. So just bear with me. So I pulled all these cables off. We're just going to turn it on now and we're just going to connect them up and check the voltage on each. It should be 5 volt. So let's hope it's all good. So there's the first one. You can see 5.19, that's good. Second one. Again, all good. Third one. Again, all good. And finally, the negative 5 volt here, which is for the sound, which I guess is working, because the sound itself is working. So we'll connect the positive to there. There you go, net negative 4.47. It's close enough to 5 volt in it. It's not a power issue, is it? Now, I have done some research on this and I've been reading around, and apparently these two here, the 6522 wires, if you swap these around, then that can fix it. Another thing that causes this continuous beep is this keyboard connector isn't seated properly, and maybe there's a pin out to that way or pin out that way. But I've only just seated that like 2 minutes ago, so I know that is correctly seated, unless I was stupid enough to put it on wrong, which I've double checked and I haven't. So what we're going to do next, we're going to pull these two wires and swap them around. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to pull these two wires here and here and basically swap them over. we're back on here, we've got the screen on again, we swapped the two wires over and we shall now turn it on. Now that made a slight different noise then. I don't know whether it does it again. Yeah, it seems to be more louder now for some reason. Now I'll swap these two wires over. But we still have no LEDs. And we still have that continuous beep. So I think what next we're going to do is we're going to go onto the scope. And we're going to see if we can see any signals on the CPU and on the video ULA, which is here. I think there's about 5 clocks on that. And we'll just see what it's doing, if it's doing anything. Now hopefully you can see this now. I've got my scope image on there. And I've turned this on. And we're just going to connect probe to a ground point here. And we're just going to try pin 1 here on the processor here, which should be reset, so that should be high. Whoops, which it is. Now as I press brake key here, that should go low. Which it is. Now there's a bit of delay, but you did see that go low. There you go, I press it, it goes low. So that does look correct, as if the system is resetting. Now I think this one here should be a clock. Maybe it isn't. Maybe the second one is a clock. Right, so there's the first clock in, I think that is. And that does look okay. Now the next one along this one and here is another clock, which is clock out. So that looks to me like that processor is running. Now we have the video ULA along here. Now there should be quite a few clock signals on here. Starting from here. So here's the first one. I think there's 4. Second one. Third one. And there's a 4th one. Also as well, that is getting warm. So it's like they are actually running. Okay, so we haven't actually got anywhere with this, have we? At the moment, but let's carry on looking at it. So let's just put this scope away for now. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is just see if any chips are overheating. So I'm just going to spray some IPA over these chips. Obviously over the RAM chips here, there's 32K over there. And over these ULAs and the CPU, etc. And there's 65022s. And we'll just turn it on and we should see these starting to disintegrate, because obviously it will evaporate. You can see here that one's started, so that's warming up. This one's starting to evaporate. You can see the circles actually growing outwards. You can see here as well, that one, this one, this one. So these are actually all running by the looks of it. There's nothing mega hot, because obviously they would have evaporated straight away if they're really hot. You can see these are evaporating. So these chips all seem to be running okay. Well, to me, it says they're running good. And we've checked the clocks, etc. with the oscilloscope, and they all are there. So hopefully we're getting somewhere with this. We're going to carry on diagnosing it. So there's nothing there that is crying out to me, I'm overheating. None of these memories have actually evaporated yet. So none of these are running hot at all, because obviously when a chip goes short inside, it will just overheat and run really hot most of the time. So that's a good way of finding it, is just a quick spray of IPA in a spray bottle. It's safe for the board and it doesn't do any damage, and it evaporates quick, like you can see. Also good for giving the board a clean as well. So what do we look at next? I think these ROMs are okay. You've got your basic ROM here and your language ROM as well. So they are in the right position. I've checked that, and I have had these running in another BBC, so I know these are good. What I'm going to do, I'm going to hop on the old internet, on Google, and see what I can find. Okay, so I've been searching the internet and I've discovered some more things. This jumper here S25, I'll put a picture up there, is in the north position. So that means that both banks of these rams are running. Now, if you move it south, apparently that will allow just the lower ram to run. The upper half 16K is not running, so it's only running on the lower 16K, which means it should still boot, hopefully. So what we're going to do is, now we've done that, we're going to turn on the video image again, just in case it turns on. We've moved that jumper down south and we'll turn it on again. Now, still no difference. So that wasn't it, but another way we can try it is to turn that totally off. So we can take that jumper off, and it should now only utilize the upper memory bank and the lower should be disabled. But I think rightfully, from what I've read, it won't boot this way. But let's just see if there sounds any difference. No, it's still the same, but it wouldn't boot that way, so that's not what you use anyway, is it? So we can check for activity using the oscilloscope on the memory perhaps, but I'm not 100% sure how to do that. So we're just going to put that jumper back onto there. So that's set back to standard. And I'm going to have another read on the internet to see what I can find. So I've discovered something else after trailing star.org, which is a brilliant forum for BBC information. I've actually found somebody named Tricky has made a diagram. So I've gone ahead and burned it onto a 128, I think it is 27128C. Something like that. I can't really read it from here, but it's something like that anyway. So it's a 128K one. So we burned it onto this, and we're gonna pop out these two ROMs here and pop this in, because apparently this will boot with an image of Frogger or something, and it'll boot whether it's got bad RAM or not or something like that. So it's worth a try, isn't it? Because we're not going anywhere at the moment apart from this beep. So just bear with me while I swap this over. So, are we ready for this? Let's go. Now that is different. We've actually got an image now. Albeit, I don't know what it is. Apparently it's supposed to be a Frogger screen. That doesn't look like Frogger to me. Let's just switch it to full screen and see what he's doing. So we're here now. I've got it connected on the screen grabber, and we're just going to turn it on again. Now, I've no idea what that means. It looks to me like a memory problem perhaps, but what we're going to do next is we're going to move the jumper down and see if that makes any difference, because what that should do is only use half the memory, so it should disable the upper block of the 32K, the 16K of the upper, and only run on the lower half, which is another 16K, but it should be enough to boot the machine. So we're just going to try that again with the diagram and see if we get this Frogger image that everybody's talking about. So I've changed the jumper to south, the S25 jumper south, which should only allow the lower 16K to run. So let's turn that on and see what it's like. And it looks completely the same again. So I think next what we need to do, we need to remove that jumper. So I've now removed the jumper, so it's only running on the upper half. So let's turn that on. And did you see that? That looks a lot better. That looked like the Frogger screen actually. I think it had some corruption at the top, but I'm not quite sure what it's doing. I don't know enough about this program, but it has actually helped me a lot, because now I've actually got a video output on the BBC, which I didn't have before, and it's not continually beeping as well, which is good. So I don't know whether this loops around again. We'll just speed it up a bit and see what it does. I've sat here for a while. It doesn't seem to want to do anything, so we're just going to reboot it. And you can see the Frogger screen there. And you can read it. Actually, that looks okay. So I think, according to this diagram, is the bottom half of the memory is faulty. I'm going to go back to Stardot again. I'm going to read that forum because it's so good. It's so full of great information. And I'm going to see if there's a way with Googling, etc., to boot this from the upper half. Because if I can get it booting from the upper half and get it to able to boot to basic, then I should be able to run a program which should tell me which chips or which bits are faulty. Well, that's the plan anyway, so bear with me and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so after doing some Googling, I've discovered you can actually fool this into thinking that the upper is a lower, vice versa, etc. And you require an octocoupler chip, a 74 LS04. Now I'll put a picture up there again so you can see what this is. And I was in the Discord speaking to some people, and I was speaking to Mark from Mark Fixes Stuff, and he suggested I contact another Mark from Retro Clinic. So off I went on my phone and I messaged this guy called Mark, and this guy from Retro Clinic was very, very helpful. It only turns out that he actually makes a RAM inverter board, and this is a board here, as you can see. So like I said, it requires a 74 LS04. We're going to build this board up, which should be an easy build. As you can see, it's just a socket, a resistor and a capacitor and a couple of leads, etc. So when you put this in, it fills a BBC. But also, while I was there, I actually found out he sold RAM as well. So I've gone ahead and ordered 4 chips of RAM. Hopefully that's enough. I just took a guess. The other one is a 74 LS04. And I just took a guess. Hopefully 4 will do. Hopefully we'll build that now and we should be able to get it to boot to basic. Let's hope, guys. So a big thanks to Retro Clinic. It's now another day and we're going to be soldering this up. Now, all you need for this is one of his boards, his socket, a 1K resistor, and a capacitor, 100 NF, as well as some little peg connectors there so we can plug some leads. And also, obviously, we need the 74 LS04N. Now, I'm going to put it in a socket just in case that chip ever goes faulty. So what we're going to do, we're going to solder that together, attach it to the BBC, and see if it solves our problem. So without further ado, let's crack on. There you have the completed RAM inverter. So let's try and get this connected up and see how it works. Okay, so we've got this connected up. You can see here, I'll put the pictures up. I'll put the pictures online how we got this connected, and hopefully this is going to work now. I've still got Tricky's test ROM in first, just see if we get any image, which we do. Now hopefully that should be booting from the upper, which it is because it's doing that test ROM in it, which is correct. So what I need to do now is to just pull this test ROM out. Just like so. And we're going to put the two ROMs back in, and hopefully it'll boot to basic, all being well. So we've got the RAM inverter plugged in. We've got the two ROMs plugged in. Let's just turn it on. It didn't quite work as I wanted it to, as usual. So maybe that memory's faulty as well, the upper bank. So maybe I've got two faulty banks in this machine. So where do we go from here? Now, the only place I can say go from here is extreme, but I think is the way we need to go. I think we need to remove all these 16 chips here and socket them. That way we can check. That way we can check the traces as well in between. But not only that, if we can get the lower bank working out of all these chips and the four I've got, then it should boot. So then hopefully we can get to basic using the lower boot. So I must have some faulty chips in there somewhere. So I think the plan next is to desolder all these RAM chips. So I've decided not to take all these sockets out, and I've decided to have a probe around pin 2. Pin 2 and pin 14 of the memory, they're both the same, but we're just going to have a probe around and see if we can see anything that's different. So I'm just going to turn my camera off so you can see, because hopefully we're going to discover something now, so we can sort of trace it down to a few chips rather than take all the 16 out. I know I said that before, but it seems a bit extreme, doesn't it? So let's try and find what chips we think are culprits. So without further ado, let's crack on. So we'll just turn the machine on. It's got Tricky's test ROM in, and we'll start probing pin 2s. So you can see there, that looks very good. Now, does that one look the same as that one? So I need to wait until right there, rather. Now they do look very similar. Yes. Now that one doesn't look right. If you compare it with this one, in a minute, when it gets to when it's going high all the while. So now, okay, next one. Yes. Next one. Yes. And then this one. No, that doesn't look right, does it? So I reckon IC56 is sus. So I'm just going to write that down with a pen. IC56. And then we'll just go ahead and we'll check the next ones. So I think we're going to replace IC56. Let's just check the next ones. So we've got this bank down here now. So that one looks slipped off there. These again are looking very similar. Tend to wait for that pattern. Yes. Yes. No. So yes. Yes. And then that one looks wrong again. So that is IC64. IC64. So let's try the next lot. I'm just waiting for that familiar pattern again when the screen goes. See, these two are looking very similar, yes. Similar. That one look okay, yes. That one looks okay. Looks okay. Now these two here are playing up again. So IC63 and IC63 and IC55. So IC63 and IC55. IC55. So I think we've got 4 faulty memory chips in here. And they're the 4 I'm going to change. So 63. Because if you look there, that doesn't look right. 55. Again. But then you look at the rest of them. And the pattern is very similar. Apart from these ones again, like here. Can you see? That doesn't look right, does it? But you look at the others, yeah, you've got the toe peaks. Again. And back to this one. No, that's wrong. And down to these two. Again. Wrong again. Wrong again. But then these two are fine. So maybe I'm reading this wrong, I don't know. The way I'm going off it is the patterns. These are all very similar. Same again. And then I get to these two. Boom, it's gone. Boom, it's gone. Boom, it's gone. These ones are all good. So you can see what I'm getting. So hopefully, by replacing those ICs, there's 4 of them. That's what I'm going to do. Without further ado, I'm just going to see if I can get the desoldering gun working. And if I can, I'll replace those 4 lots of memory and see how we get on. Good morning. Now, after a very late night to the early hours of the morning, it's now the early hours of the next day, Saturday morning. It's now 7 a.m. to be precise. Now, if you're thinking of starting YouTube, especially a repair channel, this is what it's like. Well, this is what it's like for me. It's long hours. It's long hours, especially at the weekend, but not to worry. I got my coffee, and hopefully we're going to get somewhere today. So, this is from my cup from 8-Bit Retro Refix. Another great channel, so give him a look out. So, this coffee will keep me going. So, if I sound a bit drowsy and sleepy, that's the main reason why. So, what we're going to do today is I finished replacing these memory that we scoped out before with a scope that I thought looked a bit different to the rest of them. And we're going to try and turn it on now. I've still got the ROM in there. The Tricky's test ROM. Because before, if you remember, when we booted it, it wouldn't show the Frogger scene. So we're going to try it now. The jumper is north, where it wouldn't work. It was just garbled, wasn't it? So let's give that a go. I'm going to switch over to the OSSC and we'll see what we got. So without further ado, let's turn this on. Would help if I plug some power in first. So I plug some power in and we'll turn it on. There you go. Now that does look a lot better. We've got the Frogger scene, but I've noticed the bottom half of the screen is corrupt. Now somebody probably knows how to use this test ROM. Is probably saying, yeah, that's IC55 or IC59, but I don't know what's that. So at least I fixed something, haven't I? Because that wasn't booting before. So let's just move the ROM to south. And that's working as well. That looks a lot better. So that now, in theory, is just using the upper ROM. So maybe now this machine will boot. And if we can boot it to the DOS, I've been looking around and I know there's some programs I can type in which will tell me which memory is faulty. And even some, I think, which will tell me which IC is faulty memory. So that might be worth a shout to do next. Let's take the jumper off again. So the good thing is now is we've got a Frogger scene on every single one. Is there a bit of corruption there? There may well be. Let me just compare it again with that one. No, it's the same as that one. So hopefully it's going to work. We're going to move the jumper up north again. And we're going to put the BBC ROMs in, okay? So bear with me. So I've now got the BBC ROMs in. I've got the jumper set north. So let's try and boot it. That is totally different. I've got like a two-tone beep and a continuous beep. So let's just move this south because before... Yes! Look at that. That is now booting off the upper, which was faulty before. So we've got somewhere. I've got half the memory working, which is absolutely excellent. So now I've done this, we should be able to... Let's see if we can run a program. So that is working. So that is cool. So now what I've got to do, I'm going to source that memory program and type it in. Unless it's a downloadable one, I'm not quite sure. But I'm going to look into that now and come back. And we're going to hopefully run this and find out what chip's faulty. Because maybe there's still one chip faulty. So it looks like we're getting somewhere, guys. So now it's time to do some coding. I found the program and I'm just going to type it in and run it and see what the results are. Wish us luck, guys. So after my attempt of typing the program in, which didn't work, it crashed out, didn't it? We're now going to try another method. What I've done, I've installed the MMFS system into this with the SD card, and I've loaded the image of that memory program, test program, onto one of the virtual disks. So hopefully we can select that now. So I think what you need to do is to type /disk0, which will select disk drive 0, and then we need disk 8, so it is DIN 8. Now if I star dot that, there you go, it's looking good. Now we've put mem test 4, and just type run, I think. No, type run. There you go. So now that's running, this is his program, so this should hopefully tell us what's wrong. So at the moment it's south, which is set to 16K. It isn't inverted, no. So we'll run it. And we've got a flashing asterisk. Let's see what happens. Pressure. What's it going to tell me? Anything? Nothing? Mistake. Bad program. Now, why is it doing this to me? So, it did the same before, didn't it? So there must be something else wrong with this BBC, or it doesn't like this. But I'm going to have to leave it there for now, guys. If anybody knows why this is doing this, obviously somebody on the Stardust forums will know why it's saying bad program. I've no idea. That's the image I've downloaded off there, and it's version 4. So I don't know why this is working. I'll continue playing again through the week, but it's been a long video. It's been a long week, but at least we're a lot further ahead with this. We've got 16K working. It's just a matter of solving that lower memory bank, which isn't working. So for now, I shall see you in the outro. You made it to the end of the video, and it's been a very long week for me. Hopefully we're very close to this now. We actually made progress on it, which is absolutely excellent, and that's mainly down to people like Star.Forum. There's some great information on there if you stuck with the BBC Bees, and also Retro Clinic as well. Mark at Retro Clinic helped a lot. So a big shout out to you guys, and thank you. If anybody does know where to go next or what's wrong with that program, please drop me a comment down below. It was always good to listen and learn from you guys. After all, I'm still learning with these beebs as well. If you're new here, then please hit the like button and drop me a comment down below, even if it's hello. And that's about it for now. I shall see you next time on Vetto for You. See you soon, guys. Bye.